Everyone, let's go ahead and see how the iPhone Air compares against the iPhone 16 Pro Max and see which particular iPhone is a better one for you. Now, these two iPhones are slightly different, but they do give you a lot of cool things between them, but they're both very different phones. The iPhone 16 Pro Max was last year's kind of like main flagship. That was the best iPhone you can buy at that time, and it was the biggest iPhone you can really buy at that time too. Whereas on the iPhone Air, this one is going to be giving you a slightly, cheaper price tag compared to a brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max, but it's designed differently. It's supposed to be like the thinnest iPhone you can basically get your hands on. So let's go and see how both these iPhones compare. If you want to pick up either one of these particular devices though, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular iPhones. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, which came out, last year, on the front side of this particular phone, is going to be giving you a 6.9-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And this type of phone and this type of panel for the most part looks and feels very, very good. It's a very good looking panel. It's a very good looking display. And this is something that I definitely do think is it's definitely one of the better aspects going on for this type of phone. It's 120 Hertz. It gets fairly bright in the brightness. And you're still getting 120 Hertz refresh rate. You're still getting a very good type of experience. And like I said before, if you're going to go through and pick up some sort of panel and pick up some sort of a device, I think you're definitely getting a good type of experience within this type of panel. So definitely when it comes down to that side, it still is a very good looking phone. I think these types of panels still look and feel very nice. But keep in mind, if you are trying to go through and pick up a different device that could be giving you a better type of experience, the new iPhones kind of do give you that a little bit. The iPhone Air is going to be giving you a slightly smaller 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So the iPhone Air's panel is slightly different here because that one is going to be giving you a smaller sized panel, but it's still a big sized phone. Another really big benefit of something like an iPhone, Air is that it's super thin. So it feels much thinner. It feels like you're just holding the display in your hand. That's how crazy this type of phone feels. So that right there I think is another really cool thing going on for that type of device. Now you're still getting an always on display on both Dynamic Island, but the iPhone Air is giving you this 3000 nits of peak brightness inside of that type of phone, which is insane. So once again, having that type of capability right there is something that's super cool. I'm a really big fan of that. And you're definitely going to be getting that type of capability inside of that type of phone when it comes down to it. So that right there is another really cool thing going on there as well. Now, another big thing to keep in mind here too is that both of them have USB Type-C ports. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is definitely much thicker and is a much bigger phone than something like the iPhone Air. So that's something to keep in mind there as well. On the backside, you are still going through and you're able to maintain that high, the frosted glass backs on both, which again is another really nice thing. You're still able to go through and get a really good type of experience between both these phones. The backside is slightly different. The iPhone Air is basically going to be able to go through and give you that single camera setup, which we'll talk about in a second, where the iPhone 16 Pro Max is giving you this triple camera setup. So that right there is also going to be another big difference because depending on who you are, you might be wanting to go through and get a little bit of a better type of camera. And we'll talk about it in a second, but that is going to be another big caveat here for something like the iPhone, Air. But I feel like both these phones still look very good. I feel like they're both giving me a really good type of experience. But again, if you are about to go through and pick up a particular device, then, definitely something like an iPhone 16 Pro Max definitely feels like a very expensive phone. But I still think something like an iPhone Air, feels very, very good as well. It's very thin. It's so surprising how thin it is. Now, when it comes down to their price tags, this is also something that's very different. The iPhone Air is $1,000. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, when it first retailed, was $1,100 something. But the iPhone 16 Pro Max has gone down in the used market. So you're able to buy that thing for less than $1,000, probably closer to $800 depending on the condition. So that could be something that goes for the 16 Pro Max. But I think the iPhone Air, I guess is cheaper depending on how you look at it. When it comes down to their cameras, this is another big thing. These cameras are slightly different on both. So with the iPhone Air, you're basically going to be able to go through and get this 18 megapixel center stage camera, which is nice. I love having center stage. It's a really, really cool feature. And on the backside, you're getting a single 48 megapixel fusion lens. With something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you're getting this 12 megapixel front facing camera, but then you're also able to go through and essentially get this, 48 megapixel cameras on the back, which is also nice. So you're getting way more cameras inside of something like an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and you are actually getting those dedicated lenses. like you're actually able to go through and still get and maintain those lenses inside of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, because the iPhone Air doesn't have a telephoto lens. It doesn't have an ultra-wide camera. So it can only be as good as you want it to be from that standpoint. And that could be one of those types of downsides when you're going through and picking up a phone like this. So it may not be the biggest deal in the world, but it could be kind of an annoyance depending on who you are. So that could just be one of those types of things to keep in mind there. But I don't think it's like a super big deal. But again, it really is just dependent on how you're going to kind of take a look at those types of cameras. So kind of keep that in mind. That's just kind of one of those things to keep in mind there from that part as well. Now, on top of that, another big thing to keep in mind here too is software. So both these phones are still supported with software. They are just getting started. And that right there, I think, is a really cool thing going on for both these phones. So you're going to be able to go through and get a device here that is going to be supported with software for many, many years now. So, that's one of the best assets going on for a device like this, because you're going to be able to go through and get devices here that are supported for long periods of time. So that is going to be a nice thing going on for these types of phones. When it comes down to the battery life, this battery life is also different. Apple already states that the iPhone 16 Pro Max is going to be giving you significantly better type of battery life than something like the iPhone Air. So that is also going to be one of those nice things to keep in mind there too. So that type of phone and that type of device has a higher likelihood of giving you a better type of experience. So if you want the better battery life, then that's definitely going to be for something like an iPhone 16 Pro Max. When it comes down to the performance, this is also another big difference. Actually, not really. They're both giving you Pro chipsets, which is nice. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is basically going to be able to go through and give you the Apple A18 Pro chipset inside, where the iPhone Air is giving you the A19 Pro chipset inside. So that right there is also going to be a slight difference, because you're going to be able to go through and get a little bit of a better type of capability when it comes down to that type of chipset. So the iPhone Air theoretically should be faster, should be giving you better performance, but the difference is so small that I don't even think it would be even worth noting, to be honest, because it's just such a small difference when it comes down to it. So definitely when it comes down to that side, if you're going to go through and pick up a device, you're definitely not going to feel like you're picking up a super slow or crazy uncapable device on either one of these. I would probably say that the iPhone Air is going to be and feel like the faster one, just because it is a brand new phone. It's going to be giving you that better type of chipset there. So that is always kind of one of those small things to keep in mind there. But even at that point, I don't even think it's going to be that crazy big of a deal. And you're still able to go through and get a really good capable device when it comes down to it from that side as well. So to kind of sum it up, what I definitely will tell you is that in my personal opinion, I definitely do think something like an iPhone 16 Pro Max still is in a lot of ways a really good type of device. I think it's probably one of the best types of iPhones you can kind of get your hands on. And if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, it definitely makes a lot of sense to go through and buy something like an iPhone, 16 Pro Max, right? I think it's a killer device still, and it's a really good phone when it comes down to it from that side. Now, with something like the iPhone, let's just say the iPhone, Air, I think this is a really cool phone. I think it's pretty interesting, but at the same time, I do think that this isn't necessarily the first device I'd recommend people to buy, because it kind of, if you really want a thin phone, then go for it. But I think for basically everyone else, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to go through and buy a device like this when you can go through and buy something like an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and that's a way better device in almost every single way. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up from there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.